Week 7. That's almost the halfway point for this semester. I don't know about you, but I feel like the last 6 weeks have flown by. As you get ready to wrap your mind around the expectations for Lesson 7 titled Culture, I wanted to spend a couple of minutes walking you through some aspects of the lesson. To start off, I give you a written overview of what the lesson is about, along with our competencies that are our focus for this lesson and the learning objectives. You'll begin this lesson by reading Chapter 3 in your textbook, viewing the Chapter 3 PowerPoint, and then you're going to explore the concept of ethnocentrism. You'll click on the worksheet and read through the guidelines given and just follow the guidelines as they are stated. So you're going to examine the list of behaviors on the left-hand side of the column, and then you are going to determine what effect, if any, these behaviors would have on your ability to listen and or communicate with the other person. So the characteristics are listed here, or the descriptions, and you are simply you could just put a check mark or an X in the box that indicates what sort of distraction, if any, it would have on your ability to listen and communicate. So for example, if somebody is loudly burping during a meal, that might be a complete distraction to me, because my culture says that when we burp, it's a sign of disrespect. But in other cultures, that's a sign of respect, showing that you enjoyed the meal so much. It gives sort of a praise to the other person. So you'll just go through and read each of the behaviors and then identify what sort of distraction, if any, it would cause. And then in complete sentence format, I want you to respond to the 6 questions listed below. Some of you are having a little bit of difficulty understanding what I mean by complete sentence format. Whenever we are making a complete sentence, we are taking the question that's being asked and using it to rephrase in the form of a statement. So question 1 asks, would any of these behaviors make you uncomfortable? I would answer that in complete sentence format by stating, some of these behaviors would make me feel uncomfortable because, and then I'd finish out my statement. So please make sure that you provide your response in complete sentence format, and then you'll submit to the Dropbox titled Ethnocentric or Not. This particular worksheet is worth 7 points, 1 point for completing the first part, and then 1 point for answering each of the 6 questions at the end of the worksheet. Please submit that no later than 11:59 on October 15th. And the next assignment is asking you to recall a time when you had to work with somebody from another culture. That can be either on a job, in class, or maybe traveling abroad if you have had that opportunity. If you'll look, the cultural reflection guidelines are briefly described right here. For the entire assignment and the grading rubric, I ask that you open the file titled Cultural Reflection. This particular exercise is worth 27 points. The directions are as follows. Briefly describe the situation. Describe your uncertainty avoidance. Describe how your communication changed. Explain the ways you attempted to reduce the ambiguity that existed in the interaction. Explain the impact the communication had on your ability to listen. Your reflection should be no less than a half a page and no more than 1 full page. It should be typed up in a Word document. Your name, course name, and section number, along with the date, should be located in the upper right-hand side of your paper. Make sure that you proofread beyond your Word program for spelling and grammatical errors. I'm looking for no more than 5 mistakes. Save your Word document to your computer or your USB device, and then upload to the drop box titled Cultural Reflection. The rating scale is on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 scale, and the scoring guide includes the directions that were given up top based upon the criteria on the bottom and that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. You also have a met, not met category for 2 of the guidelines. Number 6, reflection was no less than a half a page, no more than a full page. That's worth 1 point if you met it, or 0 if you didn't. And then your header is also worth 1 point if you met the whole requirement, or 0 if you missed it. Again, you'll submit to the Dropbox titled Cultural Reflection Paper, and again, it should be submitted no later than 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, October 15th. Next, you have a survey for our final deliberative dialogue discussion. This survey, you'll just click on the gray box below to access, and it's going to ask you which topic you would prefer to explore for our final deliberative dialogue. I've given you 5 possibilities. Whatever topic has the most votes will be the topic for our next deliberative dialogue that will be taking place in the next lesson. So once I have tallied the votes, I will then identify the topic in lesson 8. Because this lesson deals with culture, I took this as the perfect opportunity to introduce your final project for the semester, which is your intercultural project. I'm introducing it now because it fits in nicely with our discussion this week on culture, but also because it's an extremely involved process that's worth 127 points. That's almost 13% of your overall grade in this course. I wanted to give you plenty of time to start working on it. The recording and outline for this project won't be due until 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, December 17th. In the lessons to follow in the near future, we'll be spending time talking about how you want to structure and organize your presentation and outline. For right now, I just want you to open up the guidelines and read through the actual assignment and what it entails. You are going to be attempting to observe and or participate in a culture or co-culture that's different from your own. I ask that you do so respectively and unobtrusively. Go in with an open mind to participate to the best of your ability, and whatever you do, please do not attempt to explore a culture that goes against the fundamental core of what you believe in along with your faith. So determine what culture or co-culture you want to observe and or participate in, and then while you're exploring that, I will also be providing you with opportunities that will be on campus as well as UWEC. Every week, our diversity group that's here on campus sends out a monthly reminder of intercultural events that are happening at CVTC, at UWEC, and in the community around us. Here are some examples of what students have done in the past. They've participated in local powwow events to celebrate the Native American culture. Some students have gone to religious services and or practices that are completely different from their own fundamental religious practices. So I've had students who identify as being Christian, specifically Catholic or Protestant. So what those students have done is they have explored a religious service such as going to temple, a Jewish synagogue ceremony. I have had students who have participated in mosques in Altoona, the services that are held there. So you could do that. I've had students who've identified as being heterosexual, and they've gone to performances at gay clubs such as drag shows. I've had people who have explored cyber cultures and online role-playing games. I've had people volunteer at local food kitchens around the community. I've had people who wanted to observe an organizational culture, so they went to a local board meeting that was open to the public, and they observed rules and norms that an organizational institution had within that culture. What you're going to be doing after your observation and or participation will be to create a presentation that will include a description, analysis, reflection, and comparison. Please take a couple of minutes when you're reading through the guidelines to really analyze what will entail a description, an analysis, a reflection, and a comparison, because this will essentially be the body of your presentation. But again, in future lessons that are coming up, we will discuss aspects of public speaking so that you're able to give a solid presentation that includes your description, analysis, reflection, and comparison. In the guidelines, I have given you the guidelines for the presentation itself, along with the grading rubric. Your presentation itself is worth 100 points, but then you'll also be submitting an outline, and that will be worth 27 points, thus totaling 127. So take a couple minutes, start reading through there. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, and I look forward to those because I want to be able to answer them, to give you that information with enough time to seek out a cultural activity that's happening in your community and participate and or observe in it so you can complete this final assignment. Then I placed a reminder in here for your occupational interview paper to make sure that you've conducted your interview or you've set up a day and a time for that to take place, because your paper will be due October 29th. I know that in a previous lesson it was notated that it will be due October 22nd. That is false. It will be due October 29th, and it will be due in the Dropbox in Lesson 8. This particular paper is worth 100 points, so please make sure that you read through the guidelines to get you prepared for writing the paper. I've also offered an extra credit opportunity. If you want to earn 10 points extra credit, I'm asking that you have someone either from Academic Services or from NetTutor review your paper before you submit it. And I've given you further instructions on how to obtain the 10 points for either one of those options in the lesson titled Occupational Interview Paper. So please read and view that for more details. But again, that paper won't be due until the 29th. Lastly, for Lesson 3, I ask that you complete the chapter reading quiz for Chapter 3. So 10 questions will be in this quiz. 5 questions are multiple choice, 5 questions are true and false. You are allowed to take this quiz multiple times up until the due date, or whatever comes first, the due date or until you reach 100. Then just some reminders to make sure that you have gotten through all the activities within this lesson by the given due date. And yay, congratulations, you've completed the lesson. You're awesome. As you work through these, please do not hesitate, these activities, please do not hesitate to email, call, or stop by with any questions that you have. Keep up the good work.